Hello and welcome to Theology on Tap. I finally had a chance to watch Silence last night. I wanted to see in the movie theaters, but it just didn't work out because the movie didn't do too well at the theaters, and it just kind of came out of the theaters too quickly for me. But I finally watched it last night, and of course I recommend the movie. It was directed by Martin Scorsese, who have made a lot of movies that have to dealt with Christianity. And I think he's very pro-Christian, in my opinion, so I don't think Christians need to worry about his movies being anti-Christian at all. In Silence, he addresses very important issue about Christianity. It is something that I think, I can't think for him, but I think it is something that needs to be addressed. The movie is about two Jesuit priests who goes to Japan to find their mentor who was lost in Japan. And the rumor is that the man has denied Jesus Christ, as living among the pagans in a way. So these two Jesuit priests goes to Japan to look for the lost father, try to save him again. So when they first get there, however, they find that the whole country is persecuting the Christians. And some of the scenes they show, and the visual is just stunning. Cinematography, directing, acting, everything is just wonderfully done. It got such great reviews. I'm just kind of sad that it didn't do too well. So I'm just wondering how many Christians they actually went to see this film, because I think they should have supported it, because it shows the harshness of missionaries' life back in the 1500s, 1600s. And you know, especially when I hear about the stories in Korea, how the first missionaries came to Korea and the struggles that they had in Korea, and all the persecutions among the first Christians, is pretty striking. Because someone like me who grew up in the 20th century, late 20th century, I don't think I would have the nerve or the calling to go to another country and risk my own life, because that takes a special kind of person to do. I guess you have to have a gift of martyrdom, right, in order to face the danger or even face death in order to spread the gospel. Yeah, so it's about that, and you go through some horrible scenes of people getting tortured and whatnot, and it's kind of sad that that had to happen. But I think the movie is trying to show both sides of the story of the Christians that were there, the Jesuit priests and first Christians, who were the peasants, who were not the noble class, how they needed a savior in a way, looking to paradise as a way of escape from the current situation they're living in. At the same time, the Japanese, the government, who is trying to do away with foreign influence, something that they're not familiar with. They don't want to cause trouble within the land. And I think the movie shows that even from the Japanese side, that they're not doing it out of just to be mean or anything. They just don't like having, I don't know how do you say it, a different, another wife. I think he said another wife or another concubine coming into the land and causing trouble for the husband. I think that's how they put it. So in that way, I guess you could have an understanding of that. And I mean, if a country was, let's say, majority Christians, and foreigners will come in with a different religion, is converting some of Christians to a new religion, I think Christians will also have problems with that as well. But I guess my point is that whole struggle, right? The Liam Neeson character, who's supposed to have denied the faith in Jesus Christ, to step on the picture or the face of Jesus Christ. And Andrew Garfield, who plays the person that is confronting Liam Neeson. And this whole thing about stepping on the picture of Jesus Christ is something that I heard ever since I was a little kid. I know in the United States, I heard of a story of a man who came in to a worship service with a gun and telling people who are devout Christians to stay, and those who doesn't want to get killed for Christ to leave. And a lot of people left. And after a lot of people left, the gunman actually put the gun away and said, well, now that the true Christians are here, then we could really worship the Lord. Now, I'm not too sure that's correct or not. There was this one character in this film, a Japanese character, who keeps on stepping on the face of Jesus. He does it, I think, 3 or 4 times. And is obviously feeling really upset about that, because it seems like he does have faith or at sometimes it makes it seem like he's working for the other side. But my conclusion is that he has faith in Jesus Christ, but he just doesn't have the nerve or the gift or martyrdom. He doesn't want to die, you see. So this whole issue, even in Korea, and when I was a little kid, I heard a story about when the Japanese were occupying Korea, they would do the same thing. Put a picture of Christ on the ground, and it made Christians to come out and step on it, and they will let them go back home. Or if they do not step on the face of Jesus, then they will be imprisoned or tortured or even killed. You know, I heard about that story, and I always wondered, would I be able to step on the faith of Christ knowing the fact that I was going to suffer and then I was going to die? Or do I step on the faith of Christ to go home and to have a chance to live a normal life, which is the right way to go? I mean, I struggled with that as a little kid, but, you know, growing up and especially watching this movie, this movie kind of points to both sides, that it is okay. And in fact, when Andrew Garfield at the end of the movie, you know, he's being tortured and he's going to be tortured, and he needs to save people who are being tortured. He steps on the face of Christ. And just before he says it, he hears the voice of Christ who says, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. It's better to live and to save others than to, you know, not step on the face of Christ for the sake of his own pride. And that's what Liam Neeson's character, who did, I guess, I don't know if he really denied Christ or not, but that's what he was saying. He was basically saying, why is it so difficult to step on the face of Christ to show that, you know, you're a Christian, when you could survive, you could step on the face of Christ and survive and continue to live and to do good for other people? Is it important to save others by stepping on Christ, and to step on Christ or even deny Christ? Or is it better to deny Christ to save people, or is it better to not deny Christ, knowing the fact that a lot of people are going to be killed? You know, I guess it really depends on, in my opinion, what Christ has put in your heart. But for me, I'm not 100% sure of what I would do. Most likely, I would probably step on the face of Christ and survive, if it means to save other people. But I mean, that's what I always thought too, that I probably would. Now, would that make me or someone like me by the way, I don't know 100% sure. Maybe he'll give me a gift of martyrdom at the end. Who knows? But, you know, I'd rather live, basically. But, you know, to say that one is better than the other is kind of, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. One of the argument that Liam Neeson's character had was, you know, people are believing in Jesus Christ and doing the things and dying not for Jesus Christ, but for the priest. And it kind of shows that too. The way they worship the priests, rather and not understanding God. There's a miscommunication going on there as well, and that's something that Liam Neeson kind of points out. And I really think that's something that we need to think about and address within ourselves. Do we worship God? Do we follow God? Do we allow the Spirit of God to follow us or lead us and guide us? Or do we follow a tradition? Do we follow theology? Do we follow a man who we admire and respect? You know, that's a good question as well. And I know the majority of people say, no, I only follow Christ. But if that's the case, then why do we just hold on to our theology or differences and argue about it all the time to call each other heretics and whatnot? And I don't think that's right. If we were to really, truly follow Christ, then as long as Jesus Christ is the Lord, we shouldn't be going around calling people heretics and whatnot. What is interesting, though, about missionaries' work in South Korea, though, is that, or preachers, is that when Japan did occupy South Korea, and this is something that I learned in seminary. I took a class about history of Christianity in South Korea, or in Korea. And what was interesting is when people were imprisoned, or some of them were killed as well, but I don't know what the ratio was. I think the majority of them were tortured and imprisoned for having faith in Jesus Christ. A lot of pastors were imprisoned. However, a lot of the preachers did deny Christ so they could go back home and live a normal life, I guess. What is interesting is that after the occupation has ended, preachers. There were a lot of hungry people for Christ that was coming out, and a lot of the pastors that denied Christ for a while, they repented and they came back and they started spreading the gospel once again, and it was really good because they were needed. Their knowledge and their experience was needed to help Christians. The ones that were tortured and that were in prison came out as heroes, and they were placed above other preachers. And there was a special name for this group of people. And I think that's one of the reasons why Korean Christianity theology is so conservative, because it was something that these preachers that were in prison, it was something that they promoted. And for a long time, I don't think it's the case right now, I'm not 100% sure, but for a long time, they ruled Christianity. Whatever they said was true, and whatever they said was heresy became heresy. And, I guess it's something that's going to happen. We have to recognize people who have suffered for Christ and whatnot. But when we start placing somebody to be closer to God or not, I think that's something that we need to be careful of. Anyways, do watch the movie. It's a great movie. No doubt it deserved all the high review ratings it got. Really sad it didn't make a lot of money. If you're a Christian, please support the movie by renting it and watching it, okay? Because it's worth it. And think about that. What would you do if you're given in that position to deny Christ to live or not deny Christ to survive? I know there's a verse that says, if you deny Christ in front of others, God would deny you in a sense. But I also believe in grace and forgiveness and all that. I mean, gift of martyrdom is a gift. It's not something that everybody has. So we do admire those who died, and we should lift them up and remember them for the sake of Christ. But I also want to point out that there are a lot of people who have denied Christ for the sake of their own safety and came back later to repent and became, great leaders in the church as well. So either way, may the Lord be praised. God bless. Thanks for joining me today. I think this week I'm going to talk about marriage a little bit. All right. So I hope you tune in. Please like this video and share it with your friends. And please subscribe. God bless. See you next time.